Okay, so let's talk about that drawer. You know the one. The one filled with old tech, laptops, phones, tablets, that we've all been told they're basically paperweights now. But what if that's not really the whole story? What if there's a way to breathe new life into them?
So let me just ask you straight up. Is that old computer you've got stashed away really obsolete? Or were you just told it was? I mean, it's such a frustrating feeling, right? You have a device that works perfectly fine, but suddenly you're locked out of the latest and greatest software.
And that really gets to the heart of the issue. A lot of the time, it's the manufacturers themselves who decide to draw a line in the sand. A perfect and pretty recent example was the rollout of Windows 11. Millions of perfectly capable computers were suddenly labeled unsupported, not because they lacked power, but because of some very, very specific software rules.
And here's what that roadblock actually looks like. You take a totally normal laptop from, say, 5 years ago. It often has plenty of RAM, like 8 gigs or more, and a processor that's still got a lot of fight left in it. But it gets stopped cold by one single check, a requirement for something called a TPM 2.0 security chip. So your machine has all the muscle it needs, but it's being stopped at the door by a bouncer who's only looking for one very specific ID.
This all leads to a really interesting thought. What if these hard limits, these digital roadblocks, aren't actually unbreakable rules? What if they're more like strong suggestions? You know, the kind you can politely ignore?
And that's exactly where this amazing global movement of developers, tinkerers, and tech enthusiasts comes into the picture. They're creating completely free, open-source tools that let you bypass these artificial limits. It's all built around one simple, powerful idea: extending the life of the stuff you already own.
So how does this actually work in the real world? Well, this isn't some obscure, one-off trick. Thanks to some incredible communities out there, we have powerful, well-maintained tools for all the major operating systems. Let's take a look at the big three.
First up, for the massive world of Windows, the undisputed champion is a little tool called Rufus. If you've got a PC that Microsoft says can't run Windows 11, Rufus is almost certainly your golden ticket. It's a simple utility that basically just creates a bootable USB drive from a Windows installation file.
And the best part is, the process is surprisingly simple. You literally grab the official Windows 11 file from Microsoft's own website, you open it with Rufus, and here is the magic moment. As you're setting up the USB drive, you get this beautiful little checkbox that says Remove Requirement for RAM, Secure Boot, and TPM 2.0. You click that, and boom, Rufus creates an installer that just skips those checks.
Now let's switch gears to that phone in your pocket. For all those Android devices that have stopped getting official updates, we have Lineage OS. This is a completely free, community-built version of Android that can breathe so much new life into older phones and tablets long after the manufacturer has moved on and forgotten they exist.
The whole process is very community-focused. You go to their website, check their huge list of supported devices, and then you just follow their guides to install a modern, secure version of Android. And a lot of the time, this means you get a clean system, totally free from all that bloatware that manufacturers love to install. Honestly, it can make an old device feel faster than it did brand new. It's about making it last, for sure, but it's also about taking back control.
And hey, Apple users, don't worry, you are absolutely not being left out of the fun. For Macs that Apple has officially cut off from the latest versions of macOS, the community has built something truly remarkable: the Open Core Legacy Patcher. This tool lets you install and run modern macOS on a massive range of older Mac hardware. Now, what makes OpenCore so incredibly clever is how it works. It doesn't permanently change anything about your Mac's core software. No, instead, it builds a kind of temporary configuration in your computer's memory every single time you boot up. It basically puts a disguise on your hardware, tricking macOS into thinking it's running on a newer machine. Not only does this let the new OS run, but it can even unlock modern features like Sidecar or AirPlay on Macs that never officially had them.
Okay, so all of this sounds absolutely amazing, right? Free upgrades, new features, what's not to love? But it's really important we have a balanced look at this. Let's talk about all the great rewards, but let's also talk about the potential risks you really need to consider before you dive in.
This right here is the trade-off, and you have to understand it.
The rewards, they're huge. You extend your device's life, you save money, you cut down on e-waste, and you get to unlock cool new features. But, and this is a really big but, it is not a free lunch. The people who make these tools are super clear that performance isn't guaranteed. You might find that the Wi-Fi is a little flaky or your battery drains a bit faster. You might even get crashes. You're basically running a high-performance engine in a car that wasn't built for it. So think of it as an adventure, not a commercial product that comes with a warranty.
And this all brings us to the much bigger picture here. Because this isn't really just about being clever or finding a hack to save a few bucks. This whole movement, it's really built on a powerful philosophy about what ownership even means in our digital age.
The philosophy at its core is actually pretty simple, but it's also profound. You bought the physical device. You own it. So you should have the ultimate say over the software that runs on it. End of story. This is what true digital ownership is all about, and it plugs directly into that huge global conversation we're having about the right to repair. The fundamental idea that you should be able to fix the things you own.
Power to you. That's the actual motto of the Lineage OS project. And honestly, it just perfectly captures the entire spirit of this whole movement. It's not just some catchy tagline. It's a mission statement. It's about taking the power back from the corporations and putting it where it belongs, in your hands.
So I'll just leave you with this final question. You paid for the hardware, you hold it in your hands. Shouldn't you be the one to make the rules? Shouldn't you decide when it's done? It's something to think about. That's all for this explainer.